Happy New Year, everyone. 2025 is here, and I suppose many of you have New Year's resolutions. You've got goals. For this year, you want to learn languages, among other things. Probably you have some fitness-related goals as well. But we're going to talk about language learning in this video because this is the topic of this channel. And I'm going to give you some tips to actually reach your goals this year. Because what happens to a lot of people is that you start the year with good intentions, you have a list of goals that you want to achieve, you set probably goals that are maybe not too high, but basically you focus on the goals, the end goal, instead of the daily thing. And my advice is this. This is how you should set goals this year. When it comes to language learning, and probably everything else as well, but we're going to talk only language learning here. Instead of setting goals like, I want to be fluent in Spanish or in whatever, French by the end of the year or anything, something like that, what you should do instead is focusing on daily and at most weekly goals, right? So you should have a list of things that you are doing daily. When it comes to language learning, the most important things are to listen to the language a lot and to speak the language a lot. And you know how you should do the speaking exercises on your own. Shadowing, active recall, listening and repeating, all that stuff, memorize vocabulary. You should have your goals, right? You should have your exercises that you already know. And your goals, your daily and weekly goals, should involve all those things. So instead of having vague long-term goals like I want to be fluent in Spanish by June, which means 6 months, or by December next year or this year, or something like that. Instead of that, what you should do is have a weekly goal and a daily goal. So every day I'm going to listen to this many minutes or hours, if you've got the time, of Spanish. And more importantly, I'm going to do this many sentences of active recall, and I'm going to do this many sentences of shadowing every day. Or I'm going to memorize, if your vocabulary is still weak, I'm going to memorize this many words with mnemonic associations. Because if you've got goals like this, you will know instantly every day at the end of the day if you are actually doing what you need to be doing. So if you, for example, if you've got the goal of listening to 90 minutes of Spanish a day, and that's not that difficult, by the way. If you've got a long commute, you can just put it on radio or something, and you can listen to it, for example, while working out. But the listening part is easy, but the active exercises, the speaking exercises, this is where most people fail, because you can't really get fluent just with input alone, despite what other people say. So you should have very specific goals of what are the KPIs? What are the specific goals that you want to reach every single day? So 200 sentences of active recall, 1,000 sentences of shadowing, for example, or 1,000 sentences of active recall. You could do that as well. It's a lot of hard work, but if you've got the time, you can do it. What I recommend is just doing that. You set a daily number that you want to hit, and you make sure that you're doing it every single day. And once you've been doing it daily for a few weeks, you will notice massive improvement. It's as simple as that. But start small, right? So instead of long-term goals, my advice, take this month of January and start by staying consistent. And maybe start small. Don't set your goals too high, daily goals. So, I don't know, 30 words memorized with mnemonics, 100 words of 100 sentences, of active recall, a couple hundred sentences of shadowing, and then whatever listening you do, for example. And you do that for the whole month. And then in February, if you've been consistent with this, then you can double those numbers, for example. Or maybe halfway through the month, you can double your numbers if you think you're doing well and it's easy. Again, you should know your limits. You should know what you can achieve, what you can't. But start small with daily goals and make sure that you stay super consistent with it, and then slowly increase the daily amount of work you're doing in the language. And again, focus on more vocabulary. If your vocabulary is still weak, if you're a beginner or even intermediate, you need more words. Of course, listening, but listening is a reviewing exercise, mostly. And especially, the most important thing is speaking exercises, active recall, and shadowing. The more, the better. But if you're new to this, start small, because a lot of people burn out. If you go super hard the first week, now you're motivated. In January, you go hard, you work super hard, 2 or 3 hours a day, and then mid-January you burn out and you stop. The same way people stop going to the gym, this is exactly the same thing. So start small, make sure you're staying consistent, build the habits, and then slowly increase the daily amount of work you're doing. And very soon you could be doing thousands of sentences of shadowing and active recall a day, which means you're pretty much fluent. Because if you're able to do that, if it's that easy to do, you're able to have long conversations. It's not complicated. It's simply a matter of consistency and doing effective work. You shouldn't count the time you spend doing the exercises or learning the language. You should make the time count, all right? So you can get a lot out of just 1 hour of practice if you're doing effective work, or you can do tens of hours of pseudo learning per week, casual listening, watching videos, things like that, and basically not improve at all in a week, or very, very, very little improvement. So focus on the high impact exercises, the exercises that are super effective and they give you the most amount of progress per hour invested, and especially like consistency and building the habits. This is building the habit of doing it and then staying consistent. So that's my advice for this year, 2025. Consistency, habits, and effective exercises daily. All right, start small and then slowly increase the amount of work you're doing. Anyway, that's all for today. Happy New Year, everyone. Merry Christmas. See you next time.